My name is Francisco, okay, as he said. I am not an IT person, okay? I am not coming from your activity. I'm not coming from software or information technology. At the moment, my role is in finance. I am working for a company that we are in the automotive sector, okay? We are a supplier for different car manufacturers, Volkswagen, Audi, Renault, Mercedes-Benz. And the reason why I'm here is because we are now also delivering to Tesla. I'm sure you know now with Tesla, probably you know a little bit more why I'm here, okay? Tesla, I think for all of you, we don't need any introduction. Tesla is probably right now, still right now, maybe in a few months, we don't know, okay? But Tesla is still probably now the car manufacturer that is leading the technology for the future of the electrical cars, okay? So I am working with them, okay, in our plant that we have in California. And I'm responsible for the finance, okay? I'm responsible for somehow, make money with them. That is not easy. I don't know how familiar you are with Tesla and all the problems and all the expectations that Tesla is having right now in the market, okay? I don't know if you really know all the story of Tesla, how Tesla was created by this big guru of Silicon Valley, Elon Musk, how he made the money and how Tesla is right now performing, okay? It's a long story. There are plenty of books about Tesla history and about Elon Musk, so I cannot really explain everything. Only a couple of minutes to tell you. Somehow, okay, Tesla at the moment, last week, made in the US, in the stock market, they made the announcement, okay, for the first quarter results. And now there are many concerns about Tesla future, okay? They have plenty of problems. For your information, Tesla is at the moment not making money at all. They are not profitable at all. The company is only running with the money that they are able to get from the stock market. So there is still a lot of people buying shares of Tesla because they think Tesla will be profitable in the future. But the problem is that until now, Tesla is losing money and burning cash quarter after quarter. And every quarter, they are not fulfilling any of the expectations that they were announcing to the stock market. So the reason why I'm here is because they invited me. Somehow I'm in a position in which, of course, I cannot explain in detail all the IT and information technology situation of Tesla, but I have a certain, knowledge of how the business, okay, what is affecting, the business of Tesla and what is going on here. So what I think that I can tell you something that is for you valuable is that I have a vision that is like a kind of mixture between business and technology. Because one of the problems that is happening more and more in all these new technology companies is that you have plenty of very intelligent people, smart people with really IQs of, 200, okay? But in the end, they are very far away, okay, from understanding what is a business. And a business in the end is something that has to be profitable and sustainable, okay? My experience, as I said, is that I've been working for this company for 10 years. And as I said, until Tesla, all of our customers, all the projects I have been involved are projects with traditional companies. When I mean traditional companies, it's companies like Volkswagen, Fiat, Chrysler, General Motors, the typical companies. What is different from Tesla and what is happening, okay? And what is also, a very important learning story for us. Tesla challenge, as you know, is not only to make electrical cars. Electrical cars, to be honest, and maybe this is a little bit exaggerated, but electrical cars, the technology about how to make an electrical car nowadays is already something It's not anymore, very, very rocket science. Today there are companies, all the traditional BMW, Volkswagen, even Chinese companies are able to create and to make electrical cars today. Okay, so the technology is not anymore something that is only, a privilege of Tesla, of a few people. Okay, the technology is there. What is very challenging, and really where this guy Elon Musk was very, very ambitious, probably maybe he underestimated the complexity, is that until now, you have companies that are leading the IT part. Okay? Companies that are very good developing software, companies very good developing marketing, developing a brand. We have companies like Apple, we have companies like Google in Silicon Valley, you have companies of this size. Okay? All these companies, the real know-how they have is the brand, the knowledge, and the IT. But then, when they really want to make things, and when I say make things is to make tangible things, they do nothing. They outsource everything to China, to Thailand, to cheap places, and all they have is only logo, brand, software, and then they have plenty of outsourcing of people that they control remotely. But they are not managing directly the workers doing that. It's the same model in the clothing industry with Inditex. Inditex is only a brand. They are designing, but the people that are really making this are people located maybe in Bangladesh, that is the subcontractor of the subcontractor of the subcontractor. Tesla challenge is they said, we are going to have a building. In the fifth floor, it will be me, Elon Musk, okay? In the fourth floor, because Elon Musk has a super mega ego, this is absolutely clear. In the fourth floor, I will have the IT designers, the programmers, okay? In the third floor, I will have the people really making the marketing. And then in the shop floor, I will have real workers. I mean, workers that in the end, they need to translate into a car all the ideas of all those people, okay? And this is really very, very innovative, very challenging, and very difficult. Why? Because managing a company where you have to manage, where you need to have regulations, guidelines, policies that are valid for people like you, that you will be in the future software engineers, and at the same time, in the same company, in the same floor, in the same building, people that are assembly workers, people very basic. In California, if you want to attract people to do this job, you need to attract people that are very, very basic, because otherwise nobody will work in a line making $15, $18 per hour. This is a basic salary in California. And then the people that you attract to really do the things are people with very low skill, people with no much motivation, and they are not very used to hard work. Because the money we can pay to an assembly worker is similar to the money that this person is making in the McDonald's. And in the McDonald's, you are working in the McDonald's, it's not a hard job, you go there when you want, you get your money. On the contrary, in our plant, we need to have from 8 to 5, you have the shifts, okay? That means that we want to have in the same building, when I say in the same building, I mean in the same company, you want to have the new technologies, the very latest new technologies, with people that you have to manage differently from traditional workers of the typical manufacturing environment. This is becoming a big problem, and this is becoming a disaster. It's becoming a disaster. Tesla is at the moment suffering a lot, okay? As I said, there are more than 500,000 people, more than 500,000 people in the US that they paid in advance 2 years ago $5,000 for a car, okay, that is going to be produced maybe next year. So it's the least the waiting time is more than 3 years. In theory, in the business plan, of Elon Musk right now, I'm talking especially about the Model 3. You know, Tesla has the Model XS. The Model XS are very expensive cars, only intended for the luxury market, okay? But the real challenge for Elon Musk is that he said, this is important, he said, I want to be the first one that I'm going to make an electrical car for the middle class. And this is the Model 3. The Model 3 has a cost in the market right now in the dealers in the US of about $45,000. $45,000 is an average price for a car in the US. So in terms of price, he can compete with the traditional cars. Okay? So Elon Musk's vision is, I want to make an electrical car for the middle class, not only for the UPs or for the people that are, you know, trying to show off, okay? But really for the middle class. And I will make this car not only in the US, but in the most expensive area of the US, California. And not only in California, in Silicon Valley. That is even more difficult to find people to work, you know, in basic jobs. So his vision was really probably, you know, very ambitious, and maybe he underestimated, okay? But this is really important for you to know. What is going to happen about the future? Nobody knows. If we knew that, you know, okay, this is a privilege in the market, nobody knows what is going to happen. The truth is that the market is, somehow the stock market is losing a little bit, you know, the confidence and the trust in the company, because as I said, quarter by quarter, they are saying, we will turn around the situation, we will turn around, and it's not the case. Right now, Tesla should be making 5,000 Model 3 per week. And last week production was 2,000. So it's less than 50% of the production they were intending. And this production of 2,000 cars is only because they are working 7 days a week, okay? Working a lot of overtime. For your reference, overtime in California is that if I need to pay to a worker in the line $1 for a normal hour, 1 day, okay? To work on a Sunday is $3 by law, by the California state law. To work on a Sunday or a holiday or a public holiday is 3 times the average, okay? So you can imagine the cost, you know, how they are increasing. That said, as I said, you know, Tesla, Elon Musk's vision is still that he wants to succeed there, okay? He really wants to do it. The reason why he wanted to do it in California, even when everybody was not recommending to do it in California, because for your information, to locate a manufacturing plant in California, in the area of Silicon Valley, is like if you want to make, I don't know, a low-cost manufacturer or something in the center of Madrid. Is very expensive. It's because he wanted that Tesla wanted, you know, to be really made in California for the brand, for the marketing. It's not only made in the USA, it's made in California, okay? Also, California is in the US, the state that is supporting much more, you know, the sustainable energies, all the environmental topics, and so on. Now, the next bet of this guy, as you know, is that he wants to create the self-guided vehicles, the automatic vehicles, not anymore electrical cars. But right now, all the information and rumors is that this will not be done in California. He has learned the lesson, and it will be in China. China is really where the next big factories for these cars will take place. This is clear. Maybe to make it short, this is what I wanted to tell you. How different it is to work, you know, for a company, a traditional company compared to Tesla. Tesla was cash rich 2 years ago, really cash rich, because everybody was putting money in Tesla because everybody said this is going to be the next Apple. So if I put $1 today, in 2 years, in 3 years, I will be rich. I will get $20. So they were having a lot of cash from investors from all over the world, okay? And this probably also somehow made them relax and saying, okay, if we don't make money this month, no problem. We have money from the stock market. If we don't make money in 2 months, no problem. We can, But this is now really been a problem. And just to finish, last week, Elon Musk was probably for the first time a little bit nervous. He's under tremendous pressure. I have not seen, but the rumors and the legends say that right now Elon Musk is sleeping many days in the shop floor, in the plant, to be there, to really be there and try to control everything. And Elon Musk, in this announcement to the stock market, he was very nervous. He was a little bit very unpolite, and this is something in the US you cannot afford, okay? He was very unpolite with the financial analysts, when you are making the show and the financial analysts are asking you questions that sometimes are questions not very nice, and he was nervous. He was nervous, like saying, I'm not here to answer stupid questions, next question please. And this is not really a nice message, because this is clear that he's under a lot of pressure. But okay, what is important for you, because this is maybe more for the business, for you, that you are future software guys, IT guys, okay, and one day, probably soon, you will be working in companies like Tesla, where they have, you cannot imagine. The first time I went to Tesla, they have like a big open area, like a big warehouse. Everybody is working, there with their own computers, programming, that for somebody like me, that I'm coming from the traditional manufacturing companies, it was like crazy to see hundreds of people working on their PC and programming and making designing. There are probably more than 20 different nationalities working there, okay? And all those people, I'm sure, are very intelligent. But what is really failing is that the connection, the link between this and the shop floor is not working. It's not working. And probably will not work. Until now, nobody has been able to do it. This is why all the companies that you know that are very innovative in software, in creating things, and good in managing people like you, cannot manage at the same time assembly workers. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, because there is no really connection. It's very difficult to have a human resources director that is able to motivate, to recruit people like you, and at the same time dealing with the unions, how to make the negotiation for the break for the coffee. It's very difficult. This is still not there. So for you, for the future, that you will be in the job market, I don't know, in 2-3 years maximum, this is an area where you need to make emphasis. It's nice, it's good that you live in your wall of ideas, of software, of developments, but don't forget, despite all what you hear about the Internet of Things, manufacturing 4.0, in the end, sooner or later, we still need to do things. And until now, maybe in 20 years, I don't know with the robotics, okay? Until now, we still need people, humans, to make things. Robots, even in countries like Japan, where they are probably 20 years ahead, the US in robotization and automatization, in the end, there are many activities that need to be done by humans. Because only with robotics, only with automatization, if you don't have a lot of business, it's not profitable. Automatization is expensive, is investment. And you make the investment and it's there. And if then there is an economic downturn and there is no business, the robot, you have to depreciate it. People, you can lay off. If I don't have business, I lay off people. But the robot, I spend the money, I purchase the money. If there is demand, good. If there is no demand, the robot is there. And the maintenance and the programming of the robot is expensive because they are more and more complex and they need people like you.
You said that this idea of Musk of having in the same building the engineers and the programmers and the people from the factory was like revolutionary, but is it not that how things used to be before globalization and before big companies used people from the third world to I mean, it's not. I don't understand why is it revolutionary if it's the way it used to be, right?
It's a very good question. What is your name? Carlos. Carlos. What Carlos is saying is, why is revolutionary something that was the standard years ago when you have in the same company the managing director and even the people cleaning the building was people in the payroll of the company. Okay, why is revolutionary? First, because the knowledge gap, okay, is much wider than ever before. In the past, when I started to work, okay, 25 years ago, you had in my plant an engineer or a technical engineer, and the technical engineer was the guy that was working in the shop floor. He knew the machine, he knew how the machine works, okay? He knows more than the operator, this is clear, okay? But in the end, he's touching the same things, you know, that the operator. They can see face to face. You have a problem? Okay, let's see. What is happening? The noise is bad? Okay, let me check, okay? Right now, all the people making the programming and all these things in Tesla, okay, the knowledge gap is so different. The concerns, the motivations, okay? It's probably a reflection of what is happening in the society, okay? The inequalities in the wealth, the inequalities in many things that are happening are so big that right now a software engineer probably has never talked to people like them. They live in different areas. They don't share the same world. They live in totally, you know what I mean? That right now managing people like that in the same building is really very challenging. You see what I'm saying? It's revolutionary because since 20 years ago, 30 years ago, before globalization, as you say, okay, right now nobody is doing that. Everybody is doing, I'm an expert in this, and what I am not an expert, I outsource to the cheapest place. So that knowledge has been lost. And trust me, I don't want to enter into politics, but what this guy, Donald Trump, is really trying to motivate companies to bring back manufacturing to the US that in the past was done in Asia, in Mexico, China, all those countries. It's really very challenging because there are no people to work. There are no people with the right skills to work right now, okay? And this is why what Tesla was trying to do is revolutionary, Carlos, exactly because of that. So before, the knowledge gap was like this, okay? There is always a knowledge gap. But now the distance between the different layers in the knowledge are like this. And trust me, it's not always the fault of the basic workers. It's always sometimes the fault of people that I would call middle technicians or programmers like you might be in the future, okay? One mistake that many companies is that we consider that because you are very intelligent guys, very smart guys, very good programmers, that you don't need to be managed. That you can be like auto-managed by yourselves. That you know that you don't need to be managed. And this is a big mistake also that many companies are suffering. Because it's difficult. For me, to motivate people is difficult, I can tell you. Very difficult. And he can tell you probably also. To motivate people, okay? To make people like you, that by nature tend to be very individualistic, to work in teams is even more difficult. To work in teams. To make that people that consider that what I know is my secret, I will not share this with anyone. This is what to make people like this, to share knowledge, to openly work in teams, to collaborate, that as you say, in the past was normal, right now is not happening. It's not happening. It's difficult to motivate this, to people at your level to share knowledge.
Francisco, one question. Is it even possible, what you said Donald Trump is trying to do in the US, is it even possible, like for example, for Tesla, to compete with some other companies that are paying in Bangladesh, like, I don't know, 50 cents or 20 cents per hour to a worker? Is it even possible to compete or to get the workers in the US?
Well, the idea of Elon Musk was that I want, probably, this is like a person, he's a visionary, this is his dream. I want to make a car that is really 100% made in California. And when I say made in California, it means the designer, the programmer, the assembly, the parts, everything is coming from California. This is the dream. That is totally against the normal mainstream of manufacturing now. Manufacturing today is that, and we all know that today you buy a Volkswagen and it says made in Germany, but we know it's a joke. It's made in Germany, nothing. All the parts are coming from Poland, from Taiwan, the parts, and in Germany all they are doing is only assembling a little bit with some robots, some workers, and that's all. This is the normal manufacturing today. So what he's really doing, okay, the problem is that this is not going to work. This is not going to work. The next step probably is that he will need to move the factory outside California. The battery plant, the mega battery plant, because the heart of an electrical car is the battery, is in Nevada, in the middle of the desert, okay? And the next plants will probably be in China.
So he failed in...
Correct. Will be in China. Why China? For two reasons. First of all, because of the market. In China, there is a big demand for electrical cars because it's like a kind of, it gives you importance, okay, if you are a rich Chinese. Second, because China is fully aware that they need to change a lot the regulations because otherwise the pollution is going to make the country impossible to live. And third, and very important, is because in China the regulations for security, for standards are low. In China you can make experiments, in China you can make tests that are forbidden in Western societies. For example, I put you an example. This, I don't know how you say in Spanish, self-guided, okay, autonomous cars, fully autonomous cars. Google and Tesla, they were trying to find locations in the US to make tests in the street, to make tests. The problem is that if you are the authority or the governor of the town, on the one side, you would like to be the one that is making this test. But imagine that there is a problem and people die. And you say, you know what I mean?
But that happens, right? With Uber.
Sorry?
Exactly this thing happened with Uber, like 2 months, 1 month.
Exactly. So on the one side, the different authorities, they are willing to be the places where they experiment. But on the other side, they say, okay, you first. You try first, and when it works in your house, then approve it in my house. In China, of course, not in Shanghai, not in Shenzhen, not in Beijing, but in the very, very, very remote village area of China, okay, they don't care. If a car is killing 20 people because the car is not working, nobody cares and nobody knows. So this is one of the main reasons why plenty of these tests are going to be there and why China will be leading, the self-autonomous car. Okay? Sorry.
I don't know much about companies, but I know that there are, for example, research companies that, research like the cure for Ebola, whatever. Don't you think that maybe Elon Musk wants first like a research company to have like the best electric car he can produce, and once he knows how to produce
Sell it.
cars, start to selling? Because,
Yes.
for example, this company
Yes.
need like a really big investor, and I think Elon Musk should devote to be like this investor.
Yes.
And because in my opinion, I don't know, it's just my opinion, Elon Musk has proved that he knows how to make money. I mean, he's like the third world's richest human in the world. So maybe he wants to like research first, and once he has like the proper
Yes.
card, start selling.
Absolutely truth. And I'm sure that probably that was his initial dream, okay, or his initial idea. I will create a technology, and then when I create this technology, I sell it, and then I will invent how to go to Mars, and then I will invent probably truth.
So maybe that's why there's like a huge gap between like the engineers and the business.
Correct.
growth.
The problem is that Even Elon Musk is human. And when you are so rich, as you say, when you are really you don't have any real need, okay? The worst thing that can happen to a guy like that is to fail. And the problem is that he is failing at the moment. And he will not sell Tesla to recognize it's being a failure.
But why do you say that he's failing?
Because he is losing money quarter after quarter.
I don't-
And because he said in December last year, he said to the stock market, in June, and June is next month, we will be making 5,000 cars per week. We will be there. I promise, he said. It's only 2,000.
He's losing money with Tesla, but he has like a lot of other companies that.
But money is not his motivation. Of course he's making a lot of money with the investor, of course.
But I mean, he has the right to lose money at the beginning, maybe, and.
He
waste
has
money.
all the right, but he doesn't give to himself that right. He doesn't want to recognize that he has not been able to do what he promised. And for a guy like him, this is failing. This is bad. This is what I'm saying. And, of course, if the decision was not probably so emotional, but more rational, probably he would sell the company a year ago. This technology is still very innovative technology. I sell it, I make money, and now. The problem is that this guy is very, really like, this is my project, my baby, my personal project. And it's not working. And probably it's because also for him, he was not aware of the magnitude of the challenge. He was not aware, and this is my personal view, my personal comment from all the people I talked to Tesla, is that they somehow underestimated how to make things. One thing is theory, and another thing is how to go to the shop floor and make things. And even basic things, you need workers, you need training, you need people that go to work every day. To motivate them. You need to create, a certain learning environment, okay? They never were aware of how difficult it is to have that. And this is where they are failing. If you could go to there, for example, a plant I'm very familiar, the plant of Volkswagen in Pamplona. They are manufacturing the Polo. The Polo is a very good car, very good sold car. And you see the plant in Pamplona. And you go to the plant, the shop floor, in Tesla, and it's like if you travel in time 20 years back. You see 20 in Tesla, you see a team of 20 people, 20 workers moving around without knowing where to go. This is here or here. And you go to a plant in Volkswagen in Europe, and even the junior trainee that is there know what to do. Wait.
We have one question here and another one.
So my question is, Elon Musk is from South Africa. I mean, it's not like a guy born in California. Is this idea of developing everything in California just living? I mean, just for the brand of 100 made in California?
Sure. Absolutely. He wanted to be like the Apple of the car, and made in California, made in Silicon Valley, because the plant is really in the middle of Silicon Valley. Is really a lot of brand, ego, absolutely. But not because he's from South Africa. He's from South Africa, but he's absolutely, American mindset. But of course, it was not. Also, don't forget that the physical plant of Tesla was a gift. The plant where Tesla is right now present was before a plant of Toyota and General Motors. Toyota and General Motors, many years ago in the US, they had this combined project. They started this plant, and after 2-3 years of losing money like hell, okay, they wanted to escape. Because making money manufacturing things in California is impossible. It's very expensive, and the regulations are absolutely crazy. Even to move in the plant one wall from here to here, you need 20 permits. Okay, it's impossible to make money. So when this plant of General Motors and Toyota was losing money like hell, they said, "Is there anybody willing to take this plant? We sell it for $1. $1 and it's all yours. You can keep it." And then Elon Musk said, "Okay, this is perfect for my location. I will get this location. It's for free, all the land. Okay, plus all the money I get from the government, from California state, okay, all the money I will develop here. And also it was perfect for the marketing. Yes.
SpaceX is also based in the US, and it has worked pretty well until this point.
Space?
SpaceX. What is the main difference between why one has succeeded and Tesla hasn't?
SpaceX is not manufacturing anything. It's only, what they are doing is developing the technology, the software, all the strategy, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, what they are doing, the physical people doing that are not people from the company. They are outsourcing everything. This is exactly the point. He is a very visionary guy with plenty of ideas, but he's not really able to behave in a way disciplined to say, you have a business and you need to make business and you need to be profitable. SpaceX is another experiment only.
And why with SpaceX, well, I don't know if you know, but he has outsourced the production of the mass.
Probably because he doesn't have the resources to do it. But the SpaceX, all these topics of Mars, this is all show. This is all show that he needs to keep the press and the newspapers talking about him. But this is all show. This is also, at the moment, this technology is very, very, very far away from being profitable. Not only this technology, and this is for you an important message. I know I'm very repetitive. Plenty of the new technologies, all these new things you hear about, Industry 4.0, the Internet of Things, blah, blah, blah. Many of these things are still, only show. And when I say show is that they are not making money. Let me put you an example, and I think this example will be even better. Renault, more traditional than Renault, probably there is nothing, okay? For you, maybe Renault sounds like my grandfather car, Renault is in France, and Renault is experimenting a lot with robots, with new technologies, all these things. But if you go to the financial statements of Renault from the year 2017, do you know what is the most profitable plant of Renault in the world? Of all the plants they have all over the world? Number one is the plant in Romania. And I can tell you in Romania they don't have robots. Number two, the plant they have in Morocco. And number three, the plant they have here in Palencia, in Valladolid. So still, they are making money where they have workers, where they know how to make people work harder for less money, the traditional sectors. Okay? So there is a lot of technology at the moment that is there, that is only alive because it's getting money from the stock market. Not because these projects are able to be sustained by themselves. As soon as the stock market closes the tap, this is not sustainable.
Yeah, I have two questions. What do you think makes a company sexy?
Sexy? It depends for whom. For whom?
Because,
For which type of people?
Yeah, of course, but I mean in technology, because I see you come here, you say you're working with Tesla, and I can see the people's eyes. They're like wider open, like, wow, Tesla or Google.
Yeah.
Why do you think a company is sexy and another one is not?
Okay. For sexy, for people like them, like future programmers, people in the... Okay. It's difficult that question, because companies, especially in California, they spend a lot of money in trying to look like sexy. Maybe they are not, but try to look like sexy to attract people like this. What I notice, and when I talk about California, is because everything that happens there, then some years after, comes to Europe, okay? What I notice is that people in this age, and people, programmers, they like to work in a company where the company is credible. The company is credible. And credible means that they are not trying to trick me, okay, to say one thing and making another, okay? that they can trust in the company, and that they are doing something that is really valuable. Okay, that they are really doing something valuable. They don't care about how much money the company is making. They want something that is that the company is a company where I can trust. Okay. The main problem, as I said, is that human resources people, the people that need to hire people and human resources people. It's very difficult, of course, if you say to a human resources director of Google, what do you want? They want the perfect person. I want a person that is intelligent, original, autonomous, team worker. I mean, I want, to put an example, I want Messi, but at the same time able to work like a normal player. No. I mean, in the end, if you want a star, the star is the star, you know what I mean? You need to deal a lot with people that are very, by nature, it's like if you are trying to recruit a salesman, and the salesman say, no, I'm a very shy person. Then, okay? So by nature, all the people working in IT technology tend to be very autonomous. People to be very low empathy in general, okay? In general. So it does not mean that you cannot change people. It does not mean that you cannot change people. The problem is that the companies, this is important, the companies, during many years, they have invested money in learning how to motivate people from the low level, okay? From the low level. Why? Because it was like taken for granted that people at high level, we are able to self-motivate ourselves. If I am the finance director of a company, nobody needs to motivate me. It's because I have a good job, I am working in something that I like to work, and then the motivation is only coming, from my own. This is not happening today. Even people working in very, very high technology skills need motivation. Why? Because you can be a very good technician, but in terms of maybe team working, you are very bad. So you need to guide these people, and this is what is not really something that at the moment is working. So this is something that is making sexy the companies. They like.
My second question: what will you advise to these people? They're gonna be computer scientists to complement their education.
Okay.
I mean, they know a lot about software development and all these things.
Good question.
What skills?
I recommend to you two things. By nature, you are good in many things, because if not, you would not be here. Okay? Then, where you need to reinforce always is the areas where you are weak. Always. Because in the areas you are good, you don't need to reinforce. It comes by nature. You need to learn to work in team, to really know how to share knowledge, to really know, okay, how to make from my knowledge and his knowledge to really be more open, to work in teams. I recommend you that from time to time you go to companies, but to the shop floor, to the places where they really make things. Because you are going to be designing solutions. But don't forget that what you are designing are solutions for people that have problems. If I don't have a problem, there is no solution needed. So try to talk, try to spend time with the people that really have the problems. Understand their problems. And the solution that you will have to develop, they will be better. So spend time really, as he says, in the shop floor. Go to manufacturing plants. See how these people behave. See how these people... I'll put you an example, very simple. You know IKEA. We all know IKEA, this furniture company. Okay? Look, in our assembly plant in California, we have people in the line. We are employing 120 people, and we have 20 nationalities. And when I say 20 nationalities, I mean we have people from Mexico, from Honduras, from China, from Hong Kong, from Vietnam, you cannot imagine, from many Islamic countries. Okay? Some of them speak English, some others very basic English, even almost nothing. And all of our working instructions, okay, to make the copy, what we do to make the assembly, were in English. And we were giving the instructions to them in English. They cannot understand that English. They are able to speak English, but in English like, good morning, I want milk. Good morning, where is the cinema? But to understand, okay? To find a company that was able to put in a working instruction, in normal English, the instruction so that a normal person can assemble something, you cannot imagine how difficult it is. And I challenge you to do something. Go to IKEA and buy something, okay? Something with the instructions how to assemble. And try to do it not looking at the Spanish. Try to go to the English or to the Portuguese or any other language that you talk and try to do it. It's almost impossible. The level of customization and the translation of the instructions, working instructions, are terrible. Even the best guy is unable to do that. Something as simple as that, you know, to really spend time with the people that really will have to do the job. Because we have very good designers, that are very good making the design of a perfect part. But when you say, now I want 1,000 per hour and all of them equal to industrialize something, disaster. You cannot imagine. We were having, for certain components, you know, something very sexy in the Tesla is the screen. With the screen you can monitor almost all the driving, okay? The screens were coming from China. Can you imagine that to have two valid screens, you have to buy 10? Because in the normal assembly process, there was a ratio in the beginning of 80% that were broken. Because it's impossible. You know, you need to have a hand like this to make this, because the engineers designing that never thought that in the end, a human person with a normal hand has to be like this, you know, it's possible. These failures, you cannot imagine how much money they cost.
Yeah, we have time for one last question because we're a bit over time.
So you think that Tesla is losing a lot of money? And why do you think people is still investing in Tesla in, for example, Toyota or BMW has produced electrical vehicles too, and he's making money?
No, the electrical divisions of any car company is making money. This is not true. At the moment, the electrical division of BMW, that is very advanced, Mercedes-Benz, that is very advanced, they are all subsidized by the other traditional divisions. Nobody is making money. They are subsidized. Why people are still making shares? Don't forget there is a component of speculation. The stock market is speculation, and people maybe think, if I buy the share now that is low, this week the shares of Tesla were down like 10%. So if maybe there is a rumor in some months that Tesla will be acquired by a Chinese, maybe the shares are up. So there is a lot of also speculation.
Guys, we can be here like 1 more hour, but time's time. So
Really?
Francisco, thank you very much for